Are we ready with everybody? Is everybody here that needs to be here? Fabulous. Well, let's begin. On behalf of the parents, staff, and board of Madison Academy, I want to welcome you to this press conference. Our goal is simply to share our response to all the questions and statements that have been made really over the last 10 days and to share our perspective and position on this situation. We'll also take time at the conclusion for some questions to be answered if necessary that are pertinent to this topic tonight. As many of us have read, there seems to be no love for locks, or school suspends cancer surviving boy for growing hair for locks of love, which I believe, as you will see tonight, is absolutely not accurate. We have felt it incumbent to make a measured statement about this story, so I need to give a special thanks to Mr. Will Kinnear, the vice president of our management company. He has been fielding questions, as you can imagine, since this began. Literally, his phone has been blowing up nonstop, and giving us an opportunity to look at this from all the different angles, trying to seek appropriate counsel as this issue seems to be continuing to change on a daily basis. We're here today for children. Yours, mine, ours. We all want what's best for them. We want to make their life better than the life that we've had, and to that end, we as parents will labor unceasingly. Over the last 7 years, Madison Academy has been doing just that. Every summer, the faculty, teachers, administrators, and parents come together to review the parent-student handbook, crafting policies that will give guidance, structure, and direction for our children's educational setting, creating a classroom that's as free from distraction as possible, allowing students to learn and teachers to teach. We join teachers and boards all across the country that rely on these types of established systems to provide the best possible educational opportunity for our children. Educators have been dealt a truly difficult hand. Reductions in funding, challenging classroom sizes, and cultural difficulties that seem too numerous to list. Teachers have been asked to prepare our children for the rigors of a globally competitive workplace that they will enter in the next 3, 5 to 10 years, and no one can be certain what exactly that landscape will look like even 1 year from now. So what do we do about these rules that, whether we like them or not, remain a necessary part of the world that we live in? In life, decision-making should be based on context. So let's make sure that we're on the same page with this particular situation. All students at Madison Academy have been given over the years, are currently and will be continued to ask to adhere to a student standard outlined in a parent-student handbook. Again, this is reviewed every summer for 3 months by the board, administration, and concerned parents. This ensures that we are able to stay current and consistent with a structure that we believe can provide both students and teachers the optimum setting for our children's education. The research that we've done supports the findings that we have that have helped us to enact these policies. Last September, all of our 600 students at Madison Academy agreed to comply with the student parent handbook. And so our year began. This last December, the high school principal spoke to a group of 16 students about their need to comply with the student code that they had originally agreed to. This includes a group of 3 boys that, after forming a band, decided to grow their hair out. Now, We think music is wonderful. In fact, we offer music classes to our students and want to make sure that we're encouraging artistic expression. But music and personal fashion really isn't the issue. The principal gave all of these students 2 weeks to comply with the standard. Are we seeing the no love for locks taking place yet? Now it's January of 2012. But regardless, as the students came back, all 16 students returned to school. 15 of them did comply with the standard, but one senior who has attended Madison for the last 3 years, at that point informed us that he wasn't going to cut his hair. And with only 4 months left in his senior school year, he's deciding to begin the lengthy process of growing his hair out for locks of love. Now, personally, 2 of my children have taken the years necessary to grow their hair out for the minimum required 10 inches of length and have donated their hair to Locks of Love. And to be clear, we're not here to advocate for or against any particular charitable organization that a student might want to support. There's many in existence. And if it's cancer specific, the American Cancer Society has a list of several different options that people can choose from. Many of us here tonight have been touched by someone that we know that's had to battle or that's lost a loved one to cancer. Personally, I've lost family to cancer. In fact, with regards to cancer, which is the reason that we're here tonight, what the headlines also didn't tell you about Madison Academy was, every year our students participate in Cancer Awareness Month, raising money for those who, like JT 10 years ago, are in the fight of their life. Every year our students participate in the Cancer Walk in downtown Flint. And if you haven't been to downtown Flint lately, you need to see some amazing things that are taking place down there. The vast majority of our students come from Flint, even though we're officially located in Burton. But if you're from out of town, please visit downtown Flint. There's some extraordinary things happening. Selfless plug for our city. Every year we have Gene Day dedicated to cancer awareness. Students pay $1, which goes towards cancer awareness, and they wear pink in support of the ongoing fight that we're all engaged in to see cancer defeated. Perhaps the most personal information that, for whatever reason, was also not disclosed was that last year we planted a dedication tree for a student whose mother passed away from cancer. This too somehow seemed not to be reported in the last 10 days of melee. 10 years ago, this student defeated cancer, something we all hope a child never, ever has to deal with. We're all grateful for the medical advances that have assisted JT in his battle, and we're glad that he's still alive and currently still here with us at Madison. However, at no time was the faculty, staff, administration, management team, or board given an opportunity to consider his request for special exemption to this existing rule prior to his decision to not comply. When he returned in January, he announced that he was inspired over Christmas break to grow his hair out for Locks of Love, and shortly thereafter, an ultimatum was issued to the school board to create a special exemption for him to accommodate this endeavor, or else. And here we are. In conclusion, with 4 months left until he graduates, and probably 2 years until his hair is long enough to donate to Locks of Love, it just seems reasonable to simply ask for compliance to an already existing standard that he agreed to 3 years ago. Here now are the 4 options that Mr. Will Kinnear has discussed with Ms. Gaskins. But for clarity's sake, we want to go over those four again for you. Option number one, actually, which is what was shared when he was given 2 weeks, was please trim your hair, be compliant, or a suspension would ensue. And you can continue growing your hair for locks of love 4 months after you graduate and for the rest of your life if you choose. That option wasn't taken. Option two was, with so little school actually left, this senior student was advised by Mr. Kinnear that he could put his hair in braids or cornrows, which he doesn't want to do. Curl, comb, he could get a perm, anything that would help him to comply with the existing dress code. He could continue growing his hair for locks of love, but we were told that he would wear it the way that he wanted. Option three, we reminded him that they could exercise their right to attend another school with no codes or standards like we have. In fact, there's a good school right across the field here, a couple hundred yards away from our campus. This would enable him to continue growing his hair the way he wanted for locks of love. The response was that they love Madison. They like the small class sizes, they like the education, they like most of the standards, and they want to stay, and we want to stay. After they spoke with ABC 12 about his passion to provide hair and awareness for locks of love, a viewer in Saginaw suggested this option almost serendipitously. I'd like to introduce you to Karen Glasser. Would you just stand, please, Karen? Thank you. This mother of three whose husband is serving in the Middle East said on ABC 12's site, and I'm just going to go ahead and read what she posted, and you can go back to ABC 12 and find it. I think JT should organize a Locks of Love event, and the school board should sponsor that event. He can cut his hair at the event to satisfy the requirements. Now please remember, this would be a trim of his hair, just off the collar, and it's barely touching, out of his eyes, and off his ears. He could cut his hair at this event to satisfy the school requirements and raise more donations. She went on to say, I will donate my hair that I promised not to cut until my husband returns from his deployment in the Middle East. She did confirm with her husband that that would be okay, just to be clear. My mother's a retired hairdresser, and I'm sure she would volunteer to help out. This is the part that I really appreciated. Raising social consciousness and achieving greater results makes everyone the winner in this situation. Now, knowing online information and having been through these last 10 days, my wife and I were a little leery to read something and immediately jump on it. So we thought, well, let's try to contact this person and find out, does she really exist? And if she does, is she a real person? And we called her and scheduled a time to meet with her. We did. She's here. She's still willing. And I personally shared this information with Mr. Kinnear, who then spoke with JT's mother. We felt surely we have discovered a win-win that we're all looking for. This option was also presented this last week, and here we are tonight. We feel like we've exhausted all reasonable approaches to this situation. And if for some reason those four options were lost in translation, then they're still here tonight. Simply trim your hair and be compliant. Gel your hair, curl your hair, do something with your hair like every other student, because you got a couple years ahead of you, and be compliant and keep growing your hair for locks of love. Transfer to a different school that would allow you, with no regard to any of these types of rules, to continue growing your hair, or accept the offer or the challenge of this army wife. Through the course of this process, we felt that we've been very, very considerate and accommodating to this individual student, but at the same time, we must also be conscientious of our responsibility to all 600 students and their families that have chosen to agree to the standard and call Madison their home for education. My question to you tonight is, do you still believe Madison Academy has no love for locks? Or that this school suspends a cancer-surviving boy for growing his hair for locks of love? And if you do, you have the right to. You do have that right. But based on this information, we don't believe that that's accurate, let alone fair or balanced. We did meet with JT and his mother before the meeting, and we felt that we could review these options. We felt that we could get JT back in school tomorrow if he simply were to comply with braiding, cornrowing, doing something for his hair that would enable him to, for 3 months, perhaps be a little inconvenienced, but for the cause of locks of love, we didn't feel that we were unreasonable in asking him to gel it or keep it off of his ears. We still don't. Suddenly the issue became not about JT coming back to school tomorrow, which we asked the board, member and principal and management group. And I needed to be clear. So are we talking about JT returning to school tomorrow because he's willing to simply comply with the standard? And the response was, this is a bigger issue than that now. This is about all of the children in Madison being able to grow their hair as they will for locks of love or other. We were issued another ultimatum, and here we are at Madison Academy talking about 4 what we believe are reasonable options. We would love to have JT return tomorrow. We feel like we've presented 4 very reasonable options, but in the context of all 600 students, and in light of the information that we've been able to share tonight, we're going to wait, and she did say that she's not going to say anything tonight, which she has the freedom to or not to, but she said she'd contact us tomorrow to let us know if JT will be returning tomorrow by complying with the standard or not. Ms. Glasser, thank you for driving down from Saginaw. We've received overwhelming support from people telling us the very simple thing. Revisit it in the summer, make sure that you stand now. We are going to speak with the student council. We're going to present them the opportunity, if JT so decides not to take Mrs. Glasser's offer up and create awareness for cancer, for children with cancer. They would have the opportunity, in some of these instances, to cut as little as 6 inches of hair, and we would work with those students to be able to raise awareness, to raise money. They could do it here this year, or we could wait until October, which is Cancer Awareness Month. Whatever the students chose. We already have beauticians waiting to volunteer. Their time to style people's hair for free, and information on that will be forthcoming. I want to thank you again for your support of this public school and our endeavors to create an environment where children can learn and teachers can teach, and a policy governs all those who agree to it until we revisit it in the summertime. On behalf of this public school, the community of Greater Flint, and tomorrow's leaders that attend Madison Academy today, I want to thank you, and this concludes this press conference. Thank you.